Welcome. My name is Candace Sanderson, and today we're diving deep into a philosophy that has helped me and many others to live life more fully. This episode, Living from the Inside Out, a journey back to self, shows us that when we follow our sacred intuition, we discover a path that will lead us back to us. Through exploration of consciousness and learning from my own experiences connecting with messengers and guides, I have discovered some practical lessons that can help anyone live a better, more joyful life with clarity and purpose. So, if you're seeking to transform your life or simply want to cultivate a greater peace and meaning, you are in the right place. Let's set the stage. Why does embracing a new philosophy matter? Philosophy isn't just lofty ideas, it's a compass for everyday living. The way we think and feel shape our experiences. My fundamental belief, live from the inside out, means that true fulfillment begins within us, not outside. Today, we will explore what this means in action, and I will share some stories from my life and from others to help illustrate how you can apply these teachings for yourself. Much of this is based on the recent mantra-like message that I received from my guides about 6 weeks ago. That mantra was, it's not what you know, it's what you show. In other words, it's about integrating those sacred lessons into our daily lives. It's learning to live from the wisdom of our hearts. Believe me when I say that it's easier said than done. I will find myself reacting in ways that, let me just say, do not align with what I've learned. If people are unkind to me, I find myself withdrawing and forgetting all of us, including me, are powerful, beautiful souls, and we are all connected. So, although in that moment I may not be showing what I know there is a different way to respond. And just having that awareness will often stop what in the past could have caused a downward spiral. Now I can pause. I can take a few deep breaths and realign with my heart. Although I'm the first to admit I do not always do that, I am aware that I can. And this awareness is a great first step. It helps me in real time make changes, or at least minimize my missteps. Becoming self-aware is very empowering. Most of us are conditioned to react to life. We scroll through social media. We absorb the moods of others, and we let circumstances dictate our happiness. Especially for people that are psychic. Remember, years ago, I used to call them sensitives, but we are so sensitive to other people around us. But we realize that this reaction doesn't always help. In fact, it usually doesn't. But if we start living from the inside out, that starts by cultivating that first step of self-awareness. And using that self-awareness as a prerequisite, we can then show what we know. In the past, well, after I retired, I would wake up each morning and turn on the morning news before I would drag myself out of bed. Doing that helped me wake up gradually, but it also offered me a few more moments to rest before starting the day. But It didn't take long before I started feeling the side effects of listening to the news first thing in the morning. And I realized how negatively that was impacting me. I was starting my day with elevated anxiety. That put me on edge. And that is not a good way to start the day beginning with stress. So one day I changed this routine. Instead of listening to the news, I started watching an episode on Gaia TV. Anything was better than turning on the news. Changing this routine opened doors for a new beginning. It became an invitation for quiet reflection. As I began to change my focus, I focused on what was right, not what was wrong. I didn't look at what was wrong or dysfunctional with the world. Now, I'm not advocating for sticking your head in the sand and not doing civic minded things to improve your life and your community, but seek a balance. Take time to focus on the positive. When I made these changes, almost instantly my mood shifted. I felt centered and peaceful. By choosing how to begin each day, I reclaimed control over my emotional landscape. I'm no longer reacting. I'm choosing how I want to act. Here's another thing you can do. It only takes a couple minutes a day. I'm talking about creating a brief pause throughout the day, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. You can do it now. You can do it anytime. But throughout the day, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Then just observe. Pay attention to what thoughts or what feelings arise. In this quiet space, what truth awaits you? This is a great way to tune into the wisdom of your guidance team, your angels. They are always around, but they're waiting for us to connect and to listen. How can you deepen this connection to these sacred guides? How can we tap into the wisdom of our hearts, which, as the messengers frequently remind me, these hearts of ours are portals to those 5D realms of the sacred. Let me share a few specific practical steps. Number one, practice mindfulness. What does that mean? Well, throughout the day, I talked about those pauses. But if you can carve out a specific time where you can use 5 minutes just to relax and pause, it can be when you first wake up. Maybe it's right before lunch or right after lunch. Maybe it's a few minutes before bedtime. Whatever works best for you. But what I have found is if you have a schedule, then it becomes part of that routine and you're more likely to follow through on these beautiful pauses. When you find that time, set a timer on your watch or on your phone for 5 minutes. Sit silently. Focus only on your breath. If a thought pops up, like worrying about the week ahead or something that's on your mind that you can't release, just notice it. Then gently return that attention back to your breath. Over time, what you're doing is training your mind to be in the present moment. You're not reacting to the thoughts. You're just allowing them to enter and you're looking at them. A friend told me that after a week of practicing what she did in the morning, she called it morning mindfulness, she felt calmer and she ended up handling a family argument without losing her temper or having a meltdown. And that was a major accomplishment for her. The second thing you can do is to is something that's practical. It's another practical step to listen to your intuition. So think about this. When's the last time you had a gut feeling about something? Maybe you hesitated before taking a job, or you felt drawn to call or text a friend, to reach out to someone out of the blue. I remember one day I had this nudge, actually it was more than a nudge. It was a persistent feeling that I should reach out to a former colleague. Now, we hadn't spoken in years, but I did. I paid attention to what was going on, and I thought, I am going to reach out. I'm going to just see what's going on. There's a reason I was supposed to call them. And when I did, they were in the middle of facing something that was really challenging, and they just needed someone to listen to them, to give them some feedback. And it turned out to be so positive. So, what happens is when you start acting on these nudges, you will find that life sometimes unfolds in these most mysterious and beautiful ways. The third step is to journal your experiences. If you followed me, you know I love to write things down. I always say that if I don't document it, it didn't happen. But start a journal, call it a wisdom journal. After a tough day, jot down your feelings and any insights that you had. You'll soon notice patterns. Perhaps you're always anxious before big decisions. Maybe Monday mornings are always the most challenging for you, but your intuition will guide you toward calmer solutions. When you keep that journal and you start seeing patterns to your behavior, after all, we are creatures of habit, but you'll discover that you know when to be more cautious about your reactions. You can set up defenses against them. By the way, most people, our friends, will notice these patterns. We don't see them. You might see that you are reacting when you're hungry. So maybe your blood sugar is low. But when you see the patterns, you can start in a calm way defending against them. If you see that your blood sugar is getting low, grab something to eat. But you can set up these boundaries, and that can be so helpful for you once you know the pattern. And finally, the fourth one is consistency matters. So the more that you practice, the deeper your connection to your inner guidance becomes. These small steps help you recognize and then embrace authenticity. If you think of authenticity, that is not just a buzzword, it is the key to genuine happiness. When you live from the inside out, you stop pretending. You stop conforming to other people's expectations. You get to show up as the real you, and it is your heart that leads the way. Take the example of an artist who hid their true style for years, like painting what they thought others would like. But once they embraced their own vision, their art flourished. So did their sense of satisfaction, because you were genuine, you were authentic, showing your true self. Now, in my own life, I used to keep my spiritual beliefs private, thus the reluctant messenger. I did not want others to judge me as weird or strange. But when I began sharing my 5D adventures, I connected with countless others. Many of them, like me, were closet psychics. They were holding their experiences to themselves. When I began sharing, I saw that my authenticity attracted other like-minded people. It is great to align with who you truly are. That will attract your tribe. Let me suggest some homework. Throughout the week, think of one situation where you've been hesitant, where you've been holding back. Maybe you've wanted to speak up at work or share a personal story with an acquaintance or a family member or maybe a neighbor. What would happen if you just let your true self shine? Imagine the freedom, the relief, and most importantly, the connections that could follow. Then make that happen and see the results. I remember when I first began sharing some of my experiences with coworkers, I braced for those eye-rolling responses because my beliefs and certainly my experiences were not mainstream. And some of these people I never would have pegged as being open, receptive to my ideas, but they were. I was forging new, lifelong friendships that I had never seen coming. Connections that would have never occurred had I not stepped outside my comfort zone and shared my experiences. You see, once we step into authenticity and we allow our internal guidance system to do that, to guide us, we will encounter roadblocks. That's a given. Challenges are inevitable. Loss, disappointment, conflict. Instead of resisting or blaming or stepping into the role of victim, I encourage you to take one of those pauses we talked about. And within those few moments of deep breathing and just observing, turn inward. Silently ask, what is this teaching me? What is the life lesson here? By framing this challenging situation as a teaching moment, we slip outside that automatic stimulus and response. Changing our perspective allows us to see the situation differently and therefore respond differently. Take the example of someone who does not get hired for what they think would be their perfect job. Their initial reaction might be anger, fear, sadness. But 6 months later, an even better job comes on the market. In retrospect, if they had taken that first dream job, this newer and better opportunity would not be on their radar. So their perceived setback became the seeds for greater growth a few months later. The same is true when there is a breakup with a significant other. Of course, it's painful, but it might just be the impetus for opening doors for a better relationship. Not necessarily with another person, another significant other, but a better relationship with yourself as you embrace better self-care and you discover new interests. By seeing the lesson in these hardships, your life becomes richer. Let's put this into action. The next time you face a challenge, pause and ask, what can I learn from this? And then write down your answer. Over time, you'll see that each obstacle carries a hidden gift. Revisit that later and notice what patterns you see. If you keep getting the same life lesson time after time after time, because you haven't changed your response, then that tells you something. We're looking at long-term and short-term lessons that become the blueprint for short-term and long-term survival. We discover that when we change our perspective by looking at what the life lesson is, those roadblocks weren't so monumental. They were only bumps in the road to lead us in a different direction. Let's wrap up this episode with some ways that you can listen to your inner guidance to consciously craft the life you desire. Before I share some examples, these come from a combination of my guidance team, my messengers that I channel, and my background as a psychologist. They're both working together. 3 things: set intentions, visualize, and act. Setting intentions each month, write down what you want to experience. Maybe it's more peace, a new job, deeper friendships. Someone I know set the intention to travel more, and within weeks, a friend invited her on a spontaneous road trip. So by setting the intention, you're putting that into the universe for it to manifest. The second one is visualize. Spend a few minutes daily picturing your ideal life, seeing yourself thriving, laughing, succeeding, being on stage, whatever idea that you want. See yourself doing that and being that now. One viewer visualized passing an exam, and that positive energy reduced their anxiety and helped them focus and succeed. And that third step was act. Take small, meaningful steps. If you want to write a book, set a goal to write 200 words each day. But over time, these small actions create big results. Set intentions, visualize your ideal life, and take action. If that sounds familiar, it's the TEA formula, T formula, thoughts, energy, action at work. One takeaway from this episode begins with the messenger's mantra. It's not what you know, it's what you show. Your inner world shapes your outer reality. By living from the inside out, practicing authenticity, and embracing challenges as life lessons, you unlock your true potential. Start today. Just one practice: mindfulness, journaling, setting intentions. Trust that you already have the wisdom you need. You're just tapping in to listen to it. If you have found value in this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. Comment below. Let me know what example from today's lesson resonates with you the most. I love hearing your stories and those that reach out to me privately. I love to support your journey. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Remember, you are powerful, wise, and worthy of a fulfilling life. Keep shining your light. The answers you seek are always within, and do so with kindness and a smile on your face. Sending you love and blessings until next time. Continue living from the inside out. Goodbye.